Hello and welcome to my May and June roundup and empties. I did not get around to doing my May roundup because there were a lot of new things that came out, especially the new Pat McGrath release, and I just didn't get around to even thinking about doing a roundup and empties until mid-June, by which time I was away, and then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to combine the 2 months together. But with that said, I did buy a crap ton of makeup in these 2 months, so we have a lot of makeup to go through, which is really exciting. I can't wait to share my thoughts on all of these items with you. So I'm just going to cut down to the introduction to its bare minimum. I do usually start these videos by talking about makeup adjacent items, sort of, although sometimes I will also feature jewelry and nail polish and stuff like that. This month I don't really have too many other items to talk about. I have only two actually makeup related items, and those are brushes. And they are brushes that I have talked about before. And the reason I'm mentioning these brushes, these are from Ombres by Maxineshka, and Ombres by Maxineshka is basically the only European-based foudet that you will find around here. Everything else, even if it's made by someone who is technically European, such as Sonia G, they are sold via the US. Ombres by Maxineshka are rumored to be made by Hakuhudo. I can't be sure of that. Reddit seems to think that they are made by Hakuhudo, but they are beautiful brushes. I discovered them a couple of years ago. They are sold by a Polish shop which is called Minty Shop. I will leave a link below in the description so you can go and check out the website if you're interested. Be warned, everything is in Polish, so you will have to do a little bit of translating here and there if you want to find information or order something. But I've had extremely good experience ordering from them. They're really fast, they ship things in time, they package everything really nicely, they always include freebies. It's just overall a wonderful service, but be warned, they're based in Poland and the web shop is in Polish. Anyway, I have a bunch of these brushes. I've actually done videos on these brushes before, and these are not new brushes to my collection. But recently I went on the website and they were having a sale. I think I was trying to link some brushes for some of you who have been asking which brushes I'm using, and they were these brushes. And I went on the website, it turned out they were having a sale, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to pick up backups of 2 of my favorite brushes. So I did that. The brushes that I picked backups of are the 05 brush. The 05 is probably one of the biggest tapered blenders that I have in my collection, if not the biggest blender. And the other brush is 29, and 29 is your classic flat shader brush. Now, while both of these are standard shapes, they are a blender and a flat shader, I think they're very unique and very useful for my specific eye shape and for the specific eyeshadow types that I am using. So this big blender brush, as you can see, has a little bit of a taper here going on to it, and it is very big and fluffy. And my eye shape is such that I have relatively small eyes, but I have a crap ton of space between my moving lid and my eyebrow. So when I put transition shades down, sometimes I feel like something like this works best for me, because with the tapered point here, I can deposit the color in the crease, and then because how fluffed out the brushes, I can very quickly and easily blend it through my personal crease, because my personal crease is the size of the Sahara Desert. It's huge. So that's what I find really special about this brush. If you have very small eyelids, I don't think you're going to like this brush. Now, the flat shader brush, on the other hand, like I said, there is something really special about this specific flat shader, and maybe I will try to show you what I mean by that. So we've got the Builder Pro from Sonia G here, the 234 from Zoeva, and this is the flat shader, the number 29 from Ombres by Maxineshka. So this one you can clearly see is different from the other two because it is it's quite flat, but there is not a lot of tapering going to the tip. And I don't know whether you will be able to see that in real life, but this specific brush has quite a bit of tapering going on the bristles here. So it's actually quite thin and quite tapered. And then this one from Sonia, while it is flat and tapered, it's also quite stiff and quite densely packed with bristles. And for whatever reason, when I'm especially working with really glittery eyeshadows like the Pat McGrath VR formulas, or even the formulas from her Queens, just eyeshadows that stand out more and become shinier when you apply them with a flat shader brush. This is the flat shader brush of my dreams. I don't know what it is about this specific brush that just picks up the color and applies it really nicely, really evenly, and really reveals that sparkle. So I adore this brush, and I am really happy to have backups of these brushes, because lately I've been doing my looks basically using these two brushes, because I can apply my crease and even outer corner color with the big brush, and then with the flat shader I will go in with my lid shade, inner corner, and then even the lower lashes. So I do use and enjoy all of my other brushes, do not get me wrong. It's just that if I were to strip down my eye brushes to the bare minimum and be happy, these were the two brushes that I would choose instantly without even thinking about it. So now that we've covered the brushes, we can move into the makeup, and I'm not going to do this in any particular order. I think I'm just going to like bundle things together. Let's talk a little bit about like complexion-y type products. So I did pick up something recently that is new to my collection. This is the Chanel Waterfresh Complexion Tint, not to be confused with the Waterfresh Complexion Touch. So this product, which came out last year. The two of them are essentially a very similar concept. You have these like pigment balls suspended in water. However, this, the Waterfresh Complexion Touch, behaves to me more like a medium coverage foundation, whereas the tint is really what it says it is. It has very barely there coverage, but it provides just enough, you know, for your skin to feel a little bit more smooth, a little bit more perfected, and it has a hint of coverage to it. And when I say a hint, that's already like a stretch. But I really enjoy this product. I'm really happy that I picked it up because it serves a completely different purpose. On a day when I want to go like really lightweight with my base for whatever reason, or I'm just doing very like minimum makeup for the rest as well, and I just want something very minimal as a base as well, then this is the perfect product. It has this like very pleasant cooling effect on the skin because the water balls are suspended in water. The shade I have is light. Now, because of the very sheer coverage, I think you can get away with quite like a range of shades. For me, if this was like more high coverage, I would not be able to wear it right now because it is too light for me. But once I break up the pigment balls and I distribute it on my face, you can't really tell right now that it is too light for me. Just FYI, both of these products work best with a brush. I don't think they're going to work too well with a sponge, so I highly recommend using them with a brush. I do want to add this though. I think in terms of like packaging, even though this is plastic, this feels slightly more luxurious in the hand than the Complexion Touch, so this one. However, the Complexion Touch is basically the perfect travel foundation. It is light, it is compact, and you can easily use it as a even like concealer slash foundation because of the lighter coverage and because of how versatile the product is in terms of its coverage. You can really play around with the coverage of both of these products. You can slightly build them up or you can slightly shear them down. Anyway, I've really enjoyed both of these. Now, on the note of complexion products that I've really been enjoying, let's talk about the Holy Trinity, or the trifecta as one of you called it. So very recently I have started using again my Dior Backstage foundation. I've had my Dior Backstage foundation, so this one here, since I want to say 2020, and I've always really enjoyed it. This is a beautiful, very natural looking foundation. It has a little bit of a filtering effect on the skin. The shade match has always been really good for me, especially in the summer, which is why I tend to use it more in the summer, but I've just really always enjoyed this foundation. It is also another one that's very easy to travel with because it's quite compact and quite light. Now, I do want to finish this foundation because I don't like to keep these types of products for too long, just, you know, in case they decide to go bad on me and then I would feel like they were wasted. So I don't like to have too many foundations in my drawer here, so I'm trying my best this year to finish the Backstage. It would be a bittersweet day though, the day I finish this foundation, because Dior recently decided that they're going to reformulate a bunch of their products, a bunch of their stellar products which already had stellar formulas, and tinker around with their formulas just to keep us on our toes and possibly ruin the products. Now, I don't know that they've ruined the Backstage foundation. Possibly it's still the same or even better. I might eventually decide to find out, but for now I'm going to be quite bummed out if this is finished, because if the new formula is not the same, that would be quite a shame. Now, a product that is completely new to my collection though, and I have fallen head over heels in love with it. I basically just want to use this as my concealer from now on. Is the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer. I have this in the shade 1N. I forgot to mention I have the foundation in the shade 2N. Well, while we're on the foundation, by the way, let's just get that out of the way as well. I have the corresponding Dior Backstage powder, and the two products work beautifully together. They're both in the shade 2N, and as you can see, I actually put quite a pan in the powder recently because I've been using the two products in conjugation quite a lot lately. So I have good hopes that maybe I will be able to sort of finish up both of these by the end of the summer. Now, like I said, the new product is this concealer. It is not in the Backstage formula. The Backstage line also has a concealer. I have not tried that, but I tried this concealer because I've been trying to find like a good hydrating concealer that doesn't dry my under eyes, because I have particularly difficult under eyes in terms of hydration, and I've been having really a lot of trouble finding something that doesn't suck out all the living life out of the skin of my under eyes. And I have finally found it. Thank you, Charlotte Holdcroft, who recommended this concealer to me. This is perfection in every sense of the word. I love the packaging. The packaging truly is luxurious. It's hefty. It's that like very weighty bottle. You get, I think, quite a lot of product in here. I'm too blind to see right now how much you get in here because grandma here is getting old and might need glasses in the near future. But it feels like there's a lot of product in here. And the formula is just perfection for me. It provides enough coverage, it is hydrating, it blends out really easily, and basically it does not dry my under eyes at all. Now, I don't know that if you are someone who prefers really high coverage concealer, something that's very, very like heavy duty, I don't know that this is going to work. Maybe it's buildable. To me, this provides also enough coverage. It's not too sheer of a coverage. There is enough coverage here to really like cover up whatever I have going on under my eyes, but I don't have like the wildest, darkest under eye circles out there. There are definitely people who will probably need more coverage than I do, and I don't know that this will be it. Maybe you can build it up, I don't know. But if you have under eyes like mine, which are extremely difficult to deal with because your skin is so extremely dry, this is just chef's kiss. I adore this concealer. Can't stop, won't stop using it. Now, since we're talking about Dior, let's finish with another product that I purchased from them recently. I've apparently really been enjoying Dior recently. I picked up one of their natural bronzes. Is this how it's called? Yeah, it's called the Dior Natural Bronze. It comes in this beautiful packaging with sort of like this leather on the outside and the Dior logo. And I've always really loved the packaging. I think it is it just feels very luxurious when you look at it. It makes me happy looking at it. And since I've kind of been on a spree to be buying foundations, I've been on a bit of a spree in searching for bronzers with more red undertones to them, and this one was one of the shades that was recommended for that purpose. This is the shade 08 Deep Bronze. As you can see, this is not again meant for someone of my skin tone, but I'm wearing it today, and this product is just so elegant. The formula is very finely milled, very silky. Just putting your finger in here is already such a treat to the senses, and the actual color blends out quite easily. It is quite buildable, quite versatile. You can go in with a very light hand, and it is not a completely flat matte. There is a little bit of like not a sheen, but it looks just very natural on the skin. It's not drying and powdery looking. It just goes on beautifully on the skin. And even though upon first application you'll be like, ooh, this is actually quite dark, as soon as you start to buff it out, it just reveals its beautiful formula and its versatility. I am convinced that people of deeper skin tones can wear this because I think it's quite buildable and indeed quite a deep shade, but people of my skin tone can wear it as well because you can quite easily sheer it out, and I think it is just such a beautiful shade. It has those exactly like deeper reddish undertones that I was looking for, and I've really been enjoying this bronzer. Alright, let's talk a little bit about more complexion products and another one that I'm wearing right now. So as you guys know, last month I picked up another one of the Gucci blushes, and just a few days ago I received yet another one of the Gucci blushes. I've got a thing for these blushes ever since the shade Rosy Beige, which I purchased last year, which was it my favorite or one of my top 3 favorite like makeup products like generally speaking, of the year 2022. I adore the formula of these blushes. I think they're so cute. I think the packaging is adorable. Everything about these blushes is, again, sheer perfection. And I picked up another shade last month. This is the shade Tender Apricot, because apricot shades are some of my absolute favorite shades to wear as a blush, and this did not disappoint, because it is this beautiful, like, oh, are you even going to be able to see it? I don't know. It is this gorgeous, like, light, not pastel, but like pastel adjacent apricot shade. It looks so beautiful on the cheeks. The formula is so stellar. I'm so happy to have this shade, because it's been a while since I've really had like an apricot shade as a blush. I used to have one from Makeup Geek a really long time ago that I don't remember the name of anymore. Maybe it was called Bliss. I think it was called Bliss. But Makeup Geek doesn't exist anymore, the spiel. I far prefer this formula, obviously, and the packaging and the experience. You know, I'm a bougie bitch now. I'm 40 and I'm allowed to be a bougie bitch. And just a few days ago, and I spoke about it in a video recently, I picked up one of the 3 new shades that they released. So over the like pre-summer and May or so, they released 3 new shades, and this shade specifically, when I saw the pictures of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to have this. This is the shade Soft Red. Now, I will say this, based on the photos, I sort of expected this like orangey chili pepper kind of shade. Imagine something like Fever Dream from Pat McGrath. I think I expected Fever Dream from Pat McGrath in a blush. This is more of a reddish coral. Soft red is actually a pretty accurate name for this blush. It is a soft red. It's not, red is a bit of a stretch, but because they call it soft, I'll take it. It is more of a coral than it really is a red. It's actually the blush that I'm wearing today. It is a beautiful shade. Shades like this really suit me. But we talked about it also in one of my previous videos, that I thought this shade might be quite similar to what is it called? Electric Bloom from Pat McGrath Labs. So let's do a couple of comparison swatches. So this is the shade Soft Red from Gucci, obviously very heavily swatched for you here. And then let me show you the shade from Pat McGrath so that you can see that they are, I mean, they're not too different from each other, but I feel like you can definitely tell that there is quite a difference. This is more of like a watermelon shade. So if you were worried that these two are the same shade, even on the cheeks, I think they're going to look quite different. We might experiment one day and apply one on one of my cheeks, the other one on my other cheek, but honestly, I don't think that they're going to provide you with quite the same effect. Now, because I think this is more of like a classic coral shade, I wanted to compare to other classic coral shades that I have in my collection. The first one that came to mind is the Sunkissed Pure Color Blush in 08. So is this one here. I think it is a lot lighter in tone. I'm going to swatch like the deeper side of this, and I'm going to put that right here. But you can see this is just like a slightly lighter version of this. Obviously this is going to be more punchy because it's also meant for people of darker skin tones. And I wanted to also compare it to something that is a little bit more orangey so that you can tell the difference in the tones. So this is the shade 101, which was part of the Sunkissed powder blushes for the summer of 2022, so that was this past year. And it was limited edition, so it's no longer available. But you can see this is definitely an orange compared to all of these 3. So when they call this a soft red, I can actually, like, once I swatch it out compared to other similar shades in the range, I can see this is quite unique, and it is indeed a soft red. It is a soft red. There are a little bit of those like Fever Dream undertones once you blend it out on the cheeks. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, I've seen blushes like this before. But when you swatch it to similar shades, you immediately can tell that it's not quite like other shades. It has a thing of its own going on. So upon opening the package with the blush, I was a little bit skeptical that I purchased yet another coral, and I have enough corals to last me for probably 2 or 3 more lifetimes. But this is not quite a coral. I actually quite like it. I think it's quite unique, and I'm really happy that I picked it up. Now, I think that I'm just going to get everything out of the way that is not Pat McGrath Labs, and then we're going to go to talk about Pat McGrath Labs. Now let's talk about
yet another product that I've become obsessed with the line, and these are the Guerlain Ombre G quads. Oh my gosh, the love for these are so real. So the latest quad that I have purchased is the shade Exotic Orchid. I have a video with it, so I'm going to link that up in the cards for you if you would like to check it out. I have videos with a lot of these products that I'm talking about here, so if you're curious, just like scroll through like the past month or so and you will absolutely find a video where I have featured them. So Exotic Orchid is a part of the Ombre G line of quads. I have two other shades. I purchased Royal Jungle, which was my first one already last year. Then I purchased Imperial Moon in the spring. And this is my latest purchase from them. With this purchase sort of being prompted by desperation and by me being absolutely gutted that they have changed the formula of these quads. I'm going to say a few words about that in just a little second. But let's talk about this quad first. I really like this actually, even though I have to say in terms of formula this is quite much more toned down compared to Royal Jungle. Like Royal Jungle has quite a variety of different shades. You are not going to find the same variety of shades in this specific quad, but I do think that all of these shades are so beautiful. The only one that I think that I thought I would get a little bit less use out of is this one, but what I found out is because these are this beautiful baked lightweight formula, you can play around quite a bit with layering. So I just wanted to show you the two lighter brown shades are basically the reason I bought this quad for, and I'm particularly in love with this lighter brown shade here because it is just such a nice tone of brown. But as you can see, they're quite muted in terms of their like finish. There's really no sparkle, there's really not even a metallic finish. And what this red shade can do is it can change the tones of both of these a little bit and make them a little bit more red. So that is basically how I've been using this shade as a mixer for the browns. The only really sparkly shade in here, and it's really gorgeous, is this gold shade, which reminds me a lot of the gold shade in the Divine Rose 2 palette. This has more sparkle to it compared to the other three shades. Overall, I love the formula of this because it is so elegant on the lids. It just has this like filtering effect. It blends out effortlessly and it just looks so sophisticated, so elegant on your lids. I'm just head over heels in love with this formula. So even if these are not jam-packed with sparkle, which would be my personal preference, I just really love how they look on the lid. If I want something a little bit more subtle or really fast, these are the answer to all of my prayers. And if I want a little bit of extra sparkle, there's always a quad from Pat McGrath that I can reach for to just dab a few sparkles on and feel a little bit more glam. But yeah, I just love this formula. Now, I wanted to warn you that if you've never purchased this formula and you were really excited about it because I've been talking about it quite a bit and you've been eyeing their new fall collection, then you should be warned by me. Do not purchase the new collection if you were expecting the regular Ombre G line quads. These are a baked formula. The new ones are just pressed shades like mattes and metallics. They are not the baked formula. So if you're spending so much money expecting the experience that I am promising you here with this formula, you're not going to get it with the new quads. If you want the experience of the baked shades, you're going to have to purchase something from their core line. And I think their core line offers enough versatility. There's cool tones, there's warm tones, there's a bit of color. There's something for everyone to choose from if you really wanted to try the formula. They're quite expensive, but to me, because the formula is so incredibly elegant, I don't mind spending the cash. Like I said, I'm a bougie bitch now. Speaking of baked formulas and me spending a lot of money on these baked formulas, I recently did a video where I spoke about a dupe for specifically the Pat McGrath VR formula that I found, which is this Bobbi Brown. These are these Bobbi Brown Luxe eyeshadows. And I was totally blown away by the response to that video. So many of you watched it and so many of you told me after the video that you have actually gone out and purchased some of these eyeshadows or the quads that you were able to find featuring this formula. Because essentially these are exactly like the baked shades from Pat McGrath Labs. They're
probably my bet would be made by the same lab because these are also made in Italy. The only difference is that these are, at least here in mainland Europe, ridiculously expensive. Even people in the UK said that they are not as expensive in the UK. I don't know what's happening and why as soon as they cross the water they become like twice as expensive. In Europe these cost 50 euros a piece. Some of you have mentioned that you've been able to find them in a cosmetic discount store for $6. You lucky dog. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to find these for 6 euros. That's just never going to happen. I think in my wildest dreams I don't imagine them being less than 20 euros a piece. But with that said, I found them in a discount store. I think pretty much the same discount store that you guys have in the US, but like here in Europe in an outlet store, and I purchased this specific shade. It's also the shade that I have on my list today, with a bit of that Dior bronzer, by the way, and statuesque from Pat McGrath Labs, and this is just glorious. It is the exact same formula as the VR shades. You can find quite a variety of different finishes there. There are some which are quite sparkly, a bit more like an astral. There are some which are more like a VR shade, and honestly they're gorgeous. And some of you mentioned their new fall collection to me, and their new fall collection features one of these baked beauties in a light mint green color, and oh my lord, I just hope that we are at all going to be given the chance to even purchase this, because I have the feeling that with this brand we're really not getting everything here in Europe. I can't shop from Selfridges. Thank you so much for the suggestions, but I can't shop from Selfridges. They've cut us off after Brexit, so for me purchasing these like Bobbi Brown quads and products is actually quite limited, because here on mainland Europe we get only a selection. I will keep my eye out for sure on that cosmetic store, and if I ever see any of those quads or that beautiful green shade, I'm definitely going to purchase it. And I know that a few of you in UK are probably not going to mind to get it for me and send it here if like worse comes to worse and we are not even given a chance to purchase this. So I'm warning you now, I might have to resort to your services later on, because if mother isn't going to give me a green in her baked formula, then you know I'm just going to sell my left kidney and get one from Bobbi Brown. That's just the way it goes. Let's talk about Lisa Eldridge lipsticks, because I can't shut up about Lisa Eldridge lipsticks, and I just purchased a couple of new ones yesterday. Yesterday she released For Everyone, the new limited edition shade in Velvet Bloom, which was given to people for free if they were one of the first 200 people to visit her counter in Selfridges. I was like quite jealous of everyone, and I thought she would not release this shade for the rest of us, but luckily she did. It's still limited edition, so I don't know for how long it's going to be around, but it looks like the most beautiful red with like pink undertones to it, and you know me, I love a red lipstick. I could not resist this shade, and I've been wanting to get another one of the Lucent, so I purchased Painterly, and I've been eyeballing for the longest time the shade Velvet Muse, so I got that as well. I'm just slowly probably going to be purchasing like 90% of her lip collection, because I've also been wearing her lipsticks pretty much every day or every other day. Now I'm going to start with a lipstick that is not new, or is one of the like colors that I have owned for a little bit longer, and that is the shade Kitten Mischief. Kitten Mischief is part of her Lucent line. Oh my gosh, I am so happy that I purchased this lipstick after like doubting about it for over a year, whether it's not going to be too nude for me. It is perfect. It is the most beautiful like peachy pink that sort of takes on a more pink or a more orange hue depending on how you pair it with the rest of your clothing. I adore Kitten Mischief. Basically every other day I have Kitten Mischief on my lips. I don't know what to tell you. I adore the Lucent formula. I think I've slowly come to the realization that in terms of like sheer cream lipsticks, the Lucents are my absolute favorite. There's just something very unique, special about this formula. The way it wears, the way it stays within your lip lines, especially if you have more bleedy lip lines like I do, and the way it wears down like a little bit of a stain is just unmatched. I love this formula, and the shade Kitten Mischief is probably one of my like best purchases of this year. Thank you to everyone who recommended this shade, and especially to everyone who encouraged me to buy this shade. Now, speaking of the Lucent formula, I am wearing one of the newer Lucents that I purchased. This is the shade Palazzo, which again, I was doubting for such a long time because I have so many red lipsticks. I don't need another red lipstick. But lo and behold, I've been enjoying wearing Palazzo so very much, and there is something about the undertone of this lipstick that I just really enjoy. It is not classic red, it is also not like a very well, it is a little bit warmer. If you look at it, it looks a little bit warmer. But there is something a little bit more muted in the tones of this, like a little bit of a brownness in the tones, if you will, which I just love the tone of this lipstick. It's actually a really unique tone of red, I feel like. And what surprised me also about this specific shade is how pigmented it is. Already on the first swipe, it is quite much more intense than I expected from a Lucent. But I just love this formula, I just love this color, and I have no regrets purchasing this. Honestly, I've not regretted purchasing any of the shades that I've been doubting about. Speaking of a shade that I was really doubting about, let's talk about Velvet Blush. Oh my lord. Velvet Blush, which on the website is described as a pink berry, held no appeal to me for the longest time. A pink and a berry. Fuck no. I don't need either of those. But luckily, I saw this lipstick live on one of my friends who requested it for her birthday. I purchased it for her. I saw her wearing it a few times and I thought, this is not quite pink or berry. So I might actually want to give it a try. You guys, this is the nude lipstick that I didn't know that I desperately needed in my collection. This to me is a deep nude. I don't consider this to be a pink or a berry. While I can see the berry and pink tones in here, this to me is more of like a deep nude rosewood shade. It is just so flattering on my skin, so gorgeous. You can go check out my lipstick rotation episode 4 video, which I just posted right before this video, where I wear this lipstick with one of my looks, and oh my lord, I love this lipstick. It is just so beautiful. I can't get enough of it. You know, I love nudes, but I always struggle with the really light nudes that for some reason I just don't like them on me. I know that a lot of you really like them on me. I personally am just not the biggest fan. I like myself much more with a deeper nude, and I just did not know that there was a gaping hole in my collection, which was now filled by the shade Velvet Blush. I adore Velvet Blush. And I believe we can now move on to Pat McGrath Labs, where we have some like brand spanking new release products to talk about, but also some older products. Let's start off with the new collection. So that is the Divine Blush Color Balm collection, I want to say it's called, which introduced the cream blush formula from her and this new quad in the shade Passion Fleur. Let's talk about the blushes first. So the blushes come in this really cute pink packaging. I actually really like it. I think it's beautiful and like really fresh for spring and summer. Luxurious it is not, which is disappointing, but at the same time better for my wallet. However, the product in here, I love these. I have the shades Peach Lotus and Sunkissed Seduction. Peach Lotus is your classic like apricot-y coral shade, although it's not a coral, it's more of an apricot. And the shade Sunkissed Seduction, which is your classic like terracotta, sienna, burnt reddish kind of shade. They're both exceptional. I've seen quite some like opposing or like differing opinions on these blushes, on these color balm blushes, because people either love them or are quite lukewarm about them, and that has a lot to do with your skin type. Now, I don't know if my cheeks are like quite dry or something, but on me this formula, even though it is a balmy formula, doesn't look overly glossy and overly greasy. It also doesn't wear that way, and it also stays really well. Like you can see in my I think one of the videos that I filmed for this collection, the second video that I filmed for this collection, I did a wear test where I put this on in the morning and I came back in the afternoon after work to show you that the blush was basically still there. I just find these to be very like natural looking on the skin. They blend out really easily. They are not the most like punchy pigmented formula out there, but I like that about them. You cannot really go overboard, and you can build the shades up a little bit, especially the shade Sunkissed Seduction here. You can definitely build it up or tone it down. Like personally, I have to tone it down. The shade Peach Lotus is perfect for my skin tone. I don't know, I think these are impeccable. I love the formula, I love how they wear, I love how they look on the skin. Maybe you need to take my opinion with a bit of a grain of salt. I'm not the biggest authority out there on cream blushes. I have some in my collection, and I don't know that I've ever come across a formula that I really truly dislike. I can make pretty much everything work, but I think that's because my skin right now is more like, especially on my face, more normal. It behaves like normal to dry rather than normal to really oily. Maybe if you have really oily skin or you live in a very like intensely humid climate, you won't like this because obviously they're a balm. They're not going to be like a long-lasting powder formula, obviously, but if you live in a more moderate climate and your skin is not overly oily, I think these are gorgeous. I think these are impeccable. They look beautiful on the skin. They do exactly what they promise, which is give you that like very healthy glow, a bit of that like skin glass skin effect, without being overboard on either of these. And I really love the shades. I do hope she's going to expand the shade range, because I would consider purchasing something that is a little bit more like a true like bronzy orange. But for now, and with the summer months, I think she has basically released the perfect shades. I've been eyeing a little bit the shade Divine Rose, but as it turns out, that shade is currently out of stock. So at least I don't have to agonize about it like right at this moment. Now, a product in the collection that a lot of other people seem to really like, and I was a bit more lukewarm about, is the quad. So this is the Passion Fleur quad. Now, I will say this. Color story, perfect, very cohesive. Quality of the eyeshadows, great, nothing to fault them with. It's just that there is nothing really wowing about the formula of these. They're quite ordinary. That's really the word that I would use. They're quite ordinary. With that said, I want to mention two specific shades in this quad that make it quite unique to my collection, and the reason that I would want to keep them. And those are this pink shade and this like taupey rosy shade. They are really beautiful and really unique even within the Pat McGrath range, which is why I will absolutely keep and enjoy this quad, and also because of the packaging. I really like the packaging. This shade is beautiful. It's like a cooler toned, like pinky purpley champagne, and this taupe shade here has beautiful sparkle in it. It's a beautiful tone of like a lighter taupe, and I did a look recently that I should not forget to post on Instagram, where I combined this taupe shade together with the taupe shade from Voyeuristic Vixen, and oh my lord, they looked so beautiful together. I really like these two shades. I don't mind the matte purple shade. It's not my absolute favorite. I don't really like gravitate much towards these sort of tones for myself, but it is like on the spectrum of purples that I would wear, this is definitely one that I would wear. This orange shade, like bronzy orange shade, is also really pretty, but I feel like we have plenty of those from Pat, and I can think of at least 3 other similar shadows from her range that I prefer over this one. Now let's continue talking about Pat McGrath eyeshadow. I went ahead and purchased myself a backup of my favorite product of last year. I'm pretty sure this was my favorite makeup product for 2022. This is the Bronze Bliss Quint. I agonized for the longest time if I wanted to purchase a backup of this, but when she released this 50% off, there was really not much thinking to be done. I obviously had to get a backup of this because I adore this formula, I adore this quint, and I don't want there to be a day when I pan one of these eyeshadows and then I bang my head against a wall thinking, why did you not purchase this when it was only 17 euros? And because it was only 17 euros, its sister, Nude Allure, was also the same price. And initially when Nude Allure was released, I was like, nah, pinks, purples, nah, not for me. So I was wholeheartedly convinced that Nude Allure is just not for me. And when I purchased it, I still thought that maybe it's not going to be for me, but at least I didn't spend too much money, and I can think of at least a few people who are going to enjoy this color story. Whew, let me tell you, boy was I wrong. Boy was I so wrong. I need to do a video where I feature this quint, but I adore this little number here. It's just, don't get me wrong, I still adore Bronze Bliss, but dare I say that I love this equally to Bronze Bliss, even though these are not necessarily my shades. But the thing is, I thought this would be really pink, and it's not as much pink as it is like warm corally rosy shades, and they work so beautifully together. The looks that you can create with these are always beautiful, cohesive, and this metallic formula in these quints is just, I don't know how to describe it. It is gorgeous, it is impactful, it is sparkly, it is just complex and dimensional, and I love looking at these eyeshadows so much. And what I think makes this quint even more perfect than Bronze Bliss is the presence of this shade here. This is a matte brown shade. So actually I've been using the matte brown shade together with the shades from Bronze Bliss as well. I've actually been combining the two quite a bit because a lot of the shades in here go beautifully together. But I adore Nude Allure. I especially love the look where I put this in my crease and outer corner. Then I put this beautiful like browny pinky corally shade in my well, it's not a coral shade, but it's like a brown with like strong rosy coral undertones to it in the outer portion of my lids, and then I put this one in the inner portion of my lids and this one in the like tear duct area, or I substitute this for the purple shade, and every single time the look that I achieve with this palette is just absolutely glorious. So I am so incredibly happy to have both of these, and they are also perfect for traveling because they are really light. They're really, as you can see, they take up basically zero space because they're so tiny. Like the eyeshadow pens are so tiny, they weigh almost nothing. So I think these two are the absolute perfect travel companions. Okay, 45 minutes later we are finally done with the roundup, and we can move on to the empties. Hopefully you have still a little bit of time and energy to hear about my empties, so I'm just going to try to be really concise here. The first empty that I want to talk about is my beloved Hello, oh my god, First Aid Beauty Bendy Avocado Concealer. Thank goodness this may be the last time I need to say this. No, I have a deeper shade of this, so we're going to have to do this exercise again at some point. So this is the shade 02, which is, I want to say, Fair. Now this product has been discontinued, so the shade is probably irrelevant. There's probably a bit more that I could scrape out from the walls here, but for the most part, this is gone. It was a beautiful product. I have to say the Dior one, I have slight preference for the Dior one because I feel like it has slightly more coverage. It is a little bit thicker and creamier compared to this one. So while this one was quite hydrating, I feel like the coverage was not as good as the one from the Dior concealer. So I have absolutely no problem saying goodbye to this because it's more or less used up. I have found an even better version of it. Now makeup wise, I also have finished one of my MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus bottles. This one was in the coconut scent. I've mentioned this before that unfortunately it doesn't really smell anything like coconut, but you know, I like to fool myself that maybe every now and then I can catch a whiff of coconut when I spray this. The matter of fact is it doesn't really smell like coconut at all, but I really like the Fix Plus by MAC. I always buy it when it's on sale. It lasts me a really long time, and it's basically perfect to like sort of melt all the powder products on my face. I don't really use it so much for like fixing the makeup on my face. I think something like the All Nighter from Urban Decay would be better for that. I basically use it as like finishing hydrating touch to the skin, and this is kind of a staple for me. I've gone through like countless bottles of this by now. And the rest of the products that I have in here are basically just skincare. Let's talk about Paula's Choice first, and then we're going to talk about the product that might be the most interesting for you. So first I want to mention this Paula's Choice Peptide Booster. I can never really tell you how I feel about this because I always get it as like a freebie, and I never use it long enough or like on its own enough to be able to tell whether it's doing something. It has a pleasant, lightweight texture. It combines really well with other products. I really like it. I don't really know what else to say about it because I don't really know that it really makes a difference for my skin. Now, a product that I truly enjoy and I've repurchased already several times is the Water Infusing Electrolyte Moisturizer. This moisturizer, there is something about it which makes my skin just feel so good. I really like this. It is a night cream, or at least I use it as a night cream. I keep repurchasing it because I can see that there is a positive effect on my skin. Another product that I've kept repurchasing over the years and I've really been enjoying is this Charcoal Pore Clarifying Mask from Paula's Choice. Basically the perfect mask for someone with my skin type because I have a lot of blackheads, I have a lot of like enlarged pores, I need something to like purify and cleanse those craters on my face, and I just really enjoy this. I always feel like it helps my skin to look a little bit brighter and the pores a little bit tighter after I have used it. So another product that I keep repurchasing. Now let's talk about something that is actually going to be quite interesting for you. I did try the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Enhancing Treatment Cleanser. I got a little sample of that with the order of Blush and Palazzo. which I'm very grateful for. There were 3 milliliters of product in here and I was able to use it for like a full week to really form my opinion on it. So the idea of this product is that you can use it as a makeup remover or a makeup remover slash like skin treatment. I used it as a makeup remover and I was quite surprised at how well it actually removes makeup. So the idea is that you like squirt out a small amount of this. I was using a little bit more than she was recommending, but I think that's because I wear heavier makeup than she usually does. So she is Lisa Eldridge, by the way. So you squirt a little bit of that, then you warm it up on your hands, and then you start rubbing it on your face. And that basically dissolves the makeup while providing also a little bit of skincare treatment. And then using a washcloth, or I was using one of my like reusable cotton pads, I just like cleaned off the makeup. Now I will say this, the only thing that I don't think this could remove properly was my I'm so sorry, you can hear my son screaming downstairs and I don't really know why he keeps screaming. I hope you can't hear him, he's being really fucking loud. Anyway, I'm not sure that it had it in it to remove my Estee Lauder Little Black Primer. So I used the Little Black Primer from Estee Lauder as like a primer for my lashes because it provides a little bit of a curl, it holds the curl really well and a bit of a base for the mascara. So I really like the effect of this combined with mascara. However, it is an absolute bitch to remove. Almost nothing that is not oil-based can remove it, which is why I didn't really think that this would fully remove my makeup, including the mascara, and it's just too expensive for me to use as a cleanser. I would rather use something a lot less expensive and a lot more effective. But I have to say, it felt very plush and very like pleasant on the skin. So if you are in the business of something that is a bit more luxurious in terms of like a makeup remover slash skin treatment, and you don't mind spending on such a product a little bit more, and you love Lisa Eldridge, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, because I was quite impressed at how well it removes all the rest of my makeup, including the eye makeup. But if you're someone who wears really heavy makeup, really colorful eyeshadows, you are going to have to use quite a bit of this and you're going to go through it really fast. So I think the like money to times of use ratio is not going to be in your favor. But if you like more toned down makeup and the type of makeup that Lisa Eldridge usually demos on her channel, you're probably going to really enjoy this. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost like a full hour, but in my defense, it's been the months of May and June and quite a few new releases, quite a few new makeup items that I picked up. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favorites this month have been. Are any of the products that I mentioned also products that you have purchased and you have an opinion on, which I would love to hear more about. As usual, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!